Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about this is my project for MESICS class. So yeah, let's get into it. I've been looking into nursing for a while in terms of the career that I do want to pursue, just because it's a way for me to help people. It's a way for me to get to know patients and just help those who are in need and who do really need that help. But what does that look like? What does that look like? That's a good question. Anyways, let's get into it. Starting off, you got your typical daily activities. In general, nurses take time to assess patient conditions based on vital signs and objective or subjective observations. What does this mean? It's like whenever you have a person and they're like, "Oh, my tummy hurts." How do you know that their tummy hurts? That's a subjective thing for them. Another one is objective, where it's like, "Oh no, my arm is broken," and their arm is like quite literally broken, and you can see the bone sticking out of their arm. That would be an objective, observation. They also take time to administer medication that's prescribed to the patient, but most importantly, besides all the other care that you're going to be doing, whether that be wound care, inserting a catheter, even medication, it boils down to the patient. The patient is the center of any care plan, and for nurses, those nurses are the ones who help develop those care plans so that their patient can get adequate care. A lot of the times you would see nurses working in typical healthcare facilities. I think the biggest that come to mind are hospitals, for one. Grey's Anatomy, even though they're doctors, they still work in a hospital. You got your outpatient facilities like dialysis, which is a big one that I want to get into. And over here, I wanted to showcase what you typically see on a dialysis floor. What does this look like, though? These machines over here are the dialysis machines. If you don't know what dialysis is already, it is essentially a way for people to have their blood filtered out of all and everything in it that people have developed dialysis machines, and it's such a cool thing to be a part of, but just to see the help that these things can provide for people. Alright guys, let's get into schooling. Typically, nursing students go to school for 2 to upwards to 4 to 5 years depending on work schedule or waiting lists. On top of this, you're going to be covering subjects such as philosophy of nursing, behavioral sciences, and microbiology. And that's just speaking for their associate's degree. Oftentimes nurses, they're encouraged to pursue a bachelor's degree. And honestly, hey bro, most of the places you go, most of the hospitals you might apply to, they're going to be like, "You got your bachelor's?" And if you say no, I don't know. But it definitely increases your chances of being hired. And on top of that, gives you a nice little juicy increase to your wages. So that's always fun. Receiving this may vary on schools. I've seen courses which take 2 to 3 years, or if you want to get it done and over with, accelerated courses which take about 18 to 24 months. Alright, getting into the juicy bits that I think everyone's looking for. Wages. Alright. Sorry, I'm like recording this and I have to be really quiet. In an interview that I conducted with a charge nurse at Fresenius Dialysis Clinic in Cottonwood, I was told he was making about $40 per hour when he started as a registered nurse. I ended up taking the time to estimate how much he'd be working, let's say 64 hours a week, and this total came out to equal $133,000. Hold on, let me just... $133,000 bro. On top of this, this value can vastly differ between people, whether it's how many hours they work, how many days they work, and even how long they've been at that location. So I hopped on the Bureau of Labor Statistics of like America and like Arizona and all that, and on average the typical RN can start out making $93,000 May of 2024, but the highest 10% of nurses can make upwards to more than $135,000. You know, people always need nurses, and from what I hear and what I've seen, they're needed everywhere, especially in the reservation areas of Arizona. Sometimes facilities will try to draw employees in by offering ludicrous bonuses. I remember my mom, we were talking about moving up to, I think it was like, I don't know if it was Winslow or something like that, but she was like, yeah, what if I move up to Winslow? They offered me $10,000 bonus. And I'm like, Mom, that's great. And we ended up not moving. But yeah, oftentimes facilities will try to draw employees in by offering ludicrous bonuses and even free housing sometimes. And free housing is such an important thing to have because, you know, it's safe to say that the population's growing.
Well, I started out as a nursing assistant.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to do more.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like, you know, I wasn't really getting anywhere, and I liked what I was doing, but I wanted to do more. So then a nurse came in one day to the facility, and she was doing home dialysis on a patient that was there.
Oh, wow.
I said, you know, that's really interesting to me. I said, I really liked all the technology and stuff. I said, you know, that's really interesting. Do you have to be a nurse? And she said, not necessarily. She says you can work in an outpatient clinic and you could be a tech that would work under a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I applied, and then I got hired, and then I learned how to do dialysis, and that was a long time ago. And then I was a tech for about 20 years, and then I still wanted to do more. So I went back to school again and became an LPN.
Oh.
So I was a licensed practical nurse for about 10 years. I left dialysis for a while and got experience with, you know, like rehab and working in a skilled nursing facility.
Oh, yeah.
And passing meds, and helped me to learn more things to be a better dialysis nurse. Yeah. So then I went back to school again and became an RN and really missed dialysis, and yeah.
Here you are.
Here I am.
Yeah.